everyone, and welcome to the education series that I started last week. And I really do hope that you watched that one that I did last week. It was very informative. But today, we're doing a part 2, but with another person, someone else who I'll introduce very soon. I have another guest with me on the show today, on the conversation today, and her name is Moyosore Adeosun. And she's an educationist. So I didn't just bring people who are just talking off their head. They're already in the sector, they are living it, they are doing it, and they know what they're talking about. She's my guest today on the show, and she's a passionate teacher. In fact, if you go to her Instagram handle, that's what she's called, the passionate teacher. And trust me, when you scroll through, which I'll try to put some things here, when you scroll through, you will see the passion of a teacher, because the truth is that's not what we see these days. But just before I go further, I've introduced my guest, and in case you are new on the channel, my name is Damilola, and I am a faith-based content creator, and thank you for joining me. Where have you been? But anyways, let's start and go right into it. So as I said, my guest is a elementary educationist, if there's anything like that. Yes.
Yeah.
And as I said, she's very passionate about this job, which I think in the line of teaching, that's one thing you really need, passion, to be able to teach to be able to teach kids. So I mean, tell us a bit about yourself. How did you get into education? Like, of all
Okay, so yes, I would contribute it to the fact that, growing up, there was a time my dad wanted us to school in SOS village.
Wow.
Yeah, and since that time, I got to know that there were children that were orphans. So you just felt like you have parents and all of that. You should school with children that don't have parents, so that you be streetwise, and then you also become passionate. And so, but for logistic reasons, that was the only reason we didn't go to school, because we're living a bit far from where the school was. So when they looked at the logistics, it's not now that we have school bus everywhere and all of that. It just didn't work for us to go there. But that kind of stuck with me. And then, so my dad wanted me to be an accountant, but I just said, no, I didn't want to be an accountant or a banker. So I was like, what do you want to do? I'm like, something that would have to do with children, something that would have to do with people, something that would have to do with me giving back. I desire to own an orphanage someday, and all of that. So I just kept telling him my dream. So I couldn't explain exactly what it is I wanted to do. But then I kept doing everything I know to do one way or the other. And so much so now that I think one of the comments that get me so teary is when I get comments from people that know me way back. Like, the time I got a comment from my school daughter in secondary school saying, I don't expect anything less. We've always known that you had this in you. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, that for me is like, if you just know me now, you're like a passionate, thanks. But like someone that's known me when I was in secondary school, I was a school mother. And the funny thing is, we've not really been communicating. And then she just put that under one of my posts. I'm like, oh my, that really got me teary. So really, I just had that flair for taking care of people in me. And then I just kind of, Nigerian system just kind of helped me, because I didn't get to school on time. And then I had to go to University of Education. And then by the time I came, I'm like, okay, I came out with an education degree. What can I do? Oh, yeah, I can teach. Teaching is fine. And so I came in teaching for like 12, 13 years now.
Wow, that's a long time. And that's a long time to stay on something, teaching for that matter.
Absolutely.
Because unfortunately these days you just find people who are in it for the money, and once the money is not right, the passion to really carry out or do these things is not really there. So they only just, let's just mark the exam papers, let's do this, let's do that, and everybody calls it a day, right? It's like, oh, I've taught the curriculum for this term, that's it. And so for you to be able to stay that long on it for 12, 13 years, more than a decade, I mean, that's a huge one. A very huge one, especially in a country like Nigeria, I don't say this in a bad way, but in a country where generally teachers are not really appreciated, and that's the truth. And not to talk of in a country in Nigeria where everybody thinks, oh, what's a teachers whatever, except for a few companies that have come out to do awards for teacher of the year and all of those things. But I think teaching is one of the professions that are so underrated and so under funded also, in terms of the best tools to give to these kids. So I mean, that's a big kudos to you for being able to stick so long on that. Well done. Your reward is not on this earth also.
Absolutely, it is, And the funny thing is, as much as we have people that not so passionate, you talking about the passion. I have a friend, so she's been teaching, and she teaches even in public school. And you know what? She does. Public school don't do. They don't do like awards and all of that. She does awards for the children in our class with our money yearly. And we're in a community together. And when she said that, everybody went, wow, like we're in a gathering and we're just talking about our experience. And she was like, yeah, that just kind of saved for it and all of that. So there are really people that are passionate about it, and then there are people that are not. So, and I think it just goes across every other sector to, like, you will find people that are really passionate about tech, but then you find people that are just in tech for the money. But then, because with education, what you do is you are with people's lives.
It's people's lives.
One of my favorite quotes, that actually keeps me in check is that a child, I don't know if I'm saying it well, but paraphrase, a child in your class means the whole world to someone. And that's the truth, because you absolutely have no idea of their family history, how long the parents were there to get the child, and all of that, and all of that. And then because you have the child with you for a particular period of time, you then want to bring everything down. No, that child in your class means the whole world to someone. So that phrase keeps me going even on my not too good day, because I look at you and I'm like, this child means the whole world to someone. It might not mean the whole world to me because you're with me for 1 year, but to a particular person somewhere, it could be your grandpa, it could be your grandma, it could be you. Everybody has family stories, but so that actually keeps me going.
Oh, wow. That's a very powerful testimony. I mean, and I've heard stories of people say, oh, their parents literally gave up on them. And it was just the teachers that just kept them going. It was the teachers, the words the teachers were speaking, everything, the time invested. I can't remember. I think it was a Mount Zion movie. I can't remember the title right now. There was this boy that was put in a competition, but the parents didn't have money they knew he was good, but they didn't have the means to, follow through and all of that. So they just said, you know what, you can't do it. There's nothing we can do. I remember the title. I'll put it in the description. But that was a very powerful lesson. It was literally the teacher that just took him on to say, no, you can do this. I will tutor him. I will do this. There was a lot of dips on the way. But at the end of the day, this guy the guy went up to win. So I don't take a teacher's place in the life of a child for granted. It is such a huge deal. Yes. Absolutely. Oh, wow. That's wonderful. So at what age, I know you've given a short summary of the past how many years now, but at what age did you say, is teaching, this is what I want to do? Like, when did you think
it was? When I started getting dissatisfied, so I started my teaching profession from Ikorodu. If you know Ikorodu, if you know Lagos, you know Ikorodu. I know that Ikorodu is like the kind of like the village part of Lagos, right? So I was in a school in Ikorodu, and I kept saying, okay, so I was working there, and then the school said, oh, they usually do like exam malpractice, so I have to kind of help the children. I'm like, no, I don't do that. And they're like, no, that you have to help the children and all. And I'm like, no, I don't. So I had to leave that school and then I kind of did one or two things in between the way. But then I'm like, no, I think I really do like this. I just need to get another
Yeah.
school that had more values. So I went to a better school that had values, but still, but being said, I still didn't feel fulfilled. So I'm like, okay, it's like these schools are not doing it for me. I need to move out of that space. And then I started moving,
Environment.
So I remember I moved. Yeah, so I changed my environment. I started attending trainings. I actually, then schools were not training teachers. So I remember I was in Ikorodu. I was paying for a training on the island. I was paying to be tutored in a school on the island. But because there were a lot of logistics, like the distance a lot. I was a single girl. I didn't have so much funds to be able to go for all the trainings, but I could afford to go for a few. The few I could afford to go for made me okay, get a bit of training. And then I was not able to apply to other schools. So I got a job on the mainland, and then I started like, oh, so I now got a job in a primary school. So it now made me like, okay, because I wasn't coming from a secondary. So I'm like, no, I think I like the primary school. I'm more connected with the children. Teenagers have their own share of, oh, they want you to mentor them, which I was doing. I have some teenagers that done the uni now. I was teaching them, but these ones, they're
Wow.
like so cute and stood down to it and all of that. So I felt like, okay, so I would
Do they
take
start
the
throwing
primary school.
tantrums?
Yeah, I would take the primary school education. So that was how I decided that, I wanted to focus on primary school. I didn't want to do preschool. I didn't want to do secondary school. So it was in the process of discovering myself, going for trainings, moving from one school to another, changing jobs because I felt like, oh, my values don't align with the values they have at this place. So it was in that process that I knew that, okay, this was what I wanted to do.
Wow. And I think that's such a huge opportunity to just shape the children right from the start, because primary school is when
Absolutely.
they're still really young and their formative years. So many, they don't know anything about life at that point. Unlike when you get to
They're
secondary school, you
coming
begin to form your
like like some you throw a joke around the primary school child and tell them, are you absent-minded? Or if you show that same joke around the secondary school child, the child already has formed like five opinions about you. So yeah, so they're still in the formative years. So those values that you can instill in them, this is the time to instill it in them. It's easier now than when they're in secondary school.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. So which leads me nicely to the next question. In terms of, I mean, recently I saw a video. I don't know where I saw it. It was on Instagram.
Weather,
Someone posted a video of, I think, a
Hmm?
teacher doing a video of
Soldier,
some kids in, I'm not sure what
you want
state,
come?
in a rural area.
Order,
And then she
you
was
want
asking
come?
them one by one, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when
Nurse,
you
you
grow up?
want come?
And people were saying tailor.
Eh?
Some they were saying this in
Teacher,
Yoruba.
you
So
want come?
I assume it's a school in the southwest
Officer, you
of
want come?
Nigeria.
Southwest.
And
You
some
want
were
come?
saying teacher,
Police
and
station,
some said Olopa.
police levedi
Someone
bayen.
said
You want come?
I
Boy
think they said
Scout, you want
some,
come?
they were literally almost saying the same things. Once one
Eh?
person says
Mechanic,
Olopa, you find
you want come?
maybe Olopa and police station.
Nurse, you want
So
come?
but one stream will find it. Someone say
Police is
Olopa,
equal to
someone else
police
say
station.
tailor.
You want
You
come?
find someone say teacher. And I think the last person said something very odd, very funny. I can't remember what the last person said, which it just really broke my heart to think that we need to, even if parents don't have the means, sort of, to expose their children, as little as buying books of, it doesn't even have to be foreign books, maybe books of Chinua Achebe, books of, I mean, all of these people that we know in Nigeria, right, that are learned. We can buy these books and they begin to have these experiences, because I didn't even hear anybody say doctor. I didn't hear anybody say, and trust me, I don't say there's anything wrong with being a tailor. There are tailors, there are fashion designers, they're doing well all over the world. But for the fact that everybody was just saying the same things, it just means that that's what they were seeing around them. They couldn't see beyond that. So I don't know if you've heard anything or if you ask your students now what they want, what they want to be when they grow up, the kind of answers you get. So I'm not sure you will ever hear teacher. I can be almost certain that 90%.
I heard you. No, but then I heard recently a child in my class
Yeah.
wants to be a teacher.
Oh wow.
So okay, so I was even having a conversation with her dad. She's the first child out of me, and then because she's a teacher's bestie. When you say a child is a teacher's bestie, you say when you come in, you drop your books there, she drop the books. When everybody comes in, she'll arrange everybody's books. She'll say, oh, okay, should I get the pencils? Should I share the pencils? Should I pick the rulers? And all of that. By the way, I teach grade 2 at the moment. So okay, so should I be the one to? So sometimes she could even say, oh, what's the timetable? Should I share the numeracy notes? Because we usually have numeracy every morning, and on Fridays we have numeracy test. So when she comes and she goes, should I share numeracy test notes? She already knows what else you want me to share. So I was having a conversation with that dad, and my dad said, oh, she really just wants to become a teacher. So I feel like, more people, it's exposure, number one.
Yeah.
And then number two is also how people view the profession. A lot of people are coming up now to say, you see a lot of love. Like I have groups that I'm in. We sometimes have meetings online, sometimes we have physical meetings, and then you see people coming out of their cars, and even when they tell you how much they're earning from the teaching profession, you're like, wow. So a lot of people are now being envied to be amazing because they're amazing teachers, and because of how would I say that? Because of tech. So people are not doing just classroom teaching.
Mm-hmm.
People are also getting funds from online teaching.
Yeah.
So for instance, I have an online class today in the next I think in the next few minutes. Right. So I'm also not earning just from the classroom. Right. So that's actually changing the narrative of the teaching profession. And then there are some people that would even tell you they're just right now just doing online teaching. And then there are a lot of schools, like those type of schools you also mentioned, that some schools, like, so for instance, I teach in a school presently where we do a blend of Nigerian and British. So I would say that my school is for the school of the middle size high income earners. And because of that, you would find out that a school like mine would also say, okay, we want to adopt a school that are for low income earners, and then we want to do donations, which we usually do. So for instance, it could be Children's Day and we decide that we want to pick some things and give it to the children. It could be Valentine's and we're telling our children, oh, share love, express love and all. And then we take them because some of our kids have also not seen some children in that type of need. So we take them there. So you go and see their classrooms so that you're grateful for the things you have. So I feel like more teachers are coming up now, and then the teaching profession is being more envied by the younger ones. Although we can also say that there are several things you cannot even do under the teaching profession. You can be a curriculum analyst, you can be an online tutor, you can be a language tutor, right? So there are so many things. People are diversifying, and also because a lot of Nigerians are leaving the country and they do not want their children to lose the culture. So they kind of still want someone, to still speak to the child or tutor the child that is a Nigerian, just because I really do not want my child to lose my culture. Once in a while, this person would, speak. I do a bit of that, and then, I go into a class one day and the child is something I didn't like. And I'm like, no, but that's not right. And it says, Emma Binuma. I'm like, oh, you got me there. Right? Because I wasn't expecting, and if he knows that if he speaks Yoruba, I will feel better about the situation. And so that was just it. And then we just continued the class. So there's a lot of things happening in the education sector now.
I'm so happy that it's changing because I don't see some kids, especially here, I don't think they see, everybody's now in the AI era. Everybody's talking about AI this, AI that. So you see kids just always going for coding. We're going for something tech related, something this related, which is good. I mean, there's nothing, we can't do away with tech anyways, even in the classroom.
Absolutely.
Usually use tech. But it's amazing that you're saying these other bits now that probably 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, you won't
Yes, we won't have
yeah.
organized. COVID-19 opened the doors for tech, and teachers began to see themselves
Yeah.
in different lights. So that's an advantage. That was an advantage because I know that the first time I taught online and how I learned teaching online was during COVID-19, and I just picked that practice. And so when someone comes to me, oh, do you
Yeah.
teach online? I don't. So some people now will say, oh, they go to other people's houses to teach. I don't do that. I rather, if you can meet me online, you can engage me. But if you can meet me online, you can't engage me outside the classroom. So people are, a lot of teachers are doing so much. But the thing is that that's teachers that are on they have a self-development journey. Teachers that, I can open my WhatsApp now, like three teachers groups, communities where, people are dropping stuff, vacancies, ideas, collaborations, trainings, and all of that. So it just makes you feel like, okay, we are all growing. But then you could also do the same interview for another teacher that is not growing, and then that teacher would say, oh, no, 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 we are not. You get, so it depends on the growth. If there's growth, there is a lot of admiration. For instance, my son admires back than a teacher. He's proud to tell everybody that, oh, my mom is a teacher. Like, can I come to your school? No, you can't come to my school. Go to your old school. So all of that's happening.
Oh, that's so good to hear. I mean, I hear you. What you say is it starts with what you just ended with now. It starts with sensitization. A teaching profession is not a horrible job. And then also the fact that you talked about COVID just opening people's eyes to so many opportunities, so many things that one can do still from that teaching or that education sector. That is so good.
Absolutely.
And with all of these benefits that you've now talked about, I mean, someone is still wondering, and I've said this, and some people are still saying it, school is a scam. How true is that?
Okay, so school is not a scam. Because if you say school is a scam, that means you're saying life is a scam. And life is not a scam. Because life is full of ups and downs. So also it's school. So what's school?
Yeah.
So school is an institution for learning, right? A formal institution for learning. And now in schools, you don't learn formally alone. You also, we have clubs now.
Yeah.
And you'll find out that even in some schools, like in my school, we did something different last time, and we gave awards. We didn't just give awards for best in numeracy, best in ICT, best in literacy. We also gave awards based on their performances in their different clubs. And their parents were like, oh, this is an excellent idea. Some people that their children will never have gotten any award. They were very happy that their child and their children got award based on their input in their different clubs. So that's also coming up because we understand that everybody cannot be the best in math. Some people prefer to draw, some people prefer to dance, some people they prefer to they're doing tech and all of that. So in those clubs too, we are also awarding them. So when you go to school, you're learning. You're not just learning the curriculum, but you're also interacting with your friends. That social interaction, it's a lot of learning on its own. And that's why, even growing up, I just never liked the people that usually go to a only boys or a only girls school, because I felt like that was cutting off a form of learning from that child, no matter how good the school is. And even as a principal, I can't teach in a only boys or a only girls school. I just feel like, that I won't even bother to go and apply once an only boys, because that's not life. Life has the boys and the girls. So I just feel like, I don't know why they do that. I've not investigated, but I just feel like they're not really being realistic, right? So when we want to be realistic, then let's be realistic, right? So school is also learning from your peers. School is also learning values. School is also learning skills. So school cannot be a scam, because you can't remove the integration that school brings to you, the stability, the fact that the timetable is there and there's order. That order, some people can never forget that order for their life, for the rest of their life. So because school has imputed in them order. So school is not a scam. because there's a whole lot to learn
I
from
mean,
school. So it's only the person that is looking at it that, oh, the only thing I'm going to learn in school is math and English. So if you're looking at it from the broader perspective that, oh, I'm going to learn public speaking skills, I'm going to meet friends, I'm going to interact, I'm going to think critically, I'm going to be giving projects, and I'm going to, put in my best work. I'm doing that project. I'm going to learn how to speak. I'm going to apologize when I'm sorry. I'm going to learn all those values. So actually not as fun.
That is so true. I think people who say that sometimes always think through the formal setting alone, and then they just see it also through the lens of, we're just going to school to learn a curriculum, go to finish primary, go to secondary, after secondary we go to uni, after uni we look for a job, after we look for a job. I mean, they just see it that linear way. So that's why you find that some people always say, oh, tech is going to replace some things, you don't need to go to school for this. And which I understand that idea. When people say, oh, maybe you don't need to go for example, let's say you want to do fashion design, that's what you want to do, right? You might not need to actually go through the formal school, 4 years this. You can decide, okay, if this is what I want to do, why don't I just find a fashion school and just, instead of wasting my time, just go on straight, which is also still a form of learning, because you will interact with people, you will learn measurements, you will learn so many things, right?
So what people also do not understand. So for instance, when you come into my school, for instance, there's a part you must be, for instance, before you get into year one, you must be 5, no matter how brilliant you are.
Wow.
Before you get into year one, you must be 5, and you must be 5 before August 30th. Not
And like
that you're
that's what they
5
do
by
here also in
September
the UK.
1st.
You have to.
James, and why? Because there's a form, you must be mature. There's a form of maturity that is expected. There's a form of maturity that's expected from you. So they believe that, okay, if you're at a particular age, you are more matured, right? So that also does a lot of things. I pick up my phone now and I still interact with people who were in secondary school together. Right, I think that people in primary school, no primary school. I don't have any one of them in my contact, but secondary school, I still have. Uni, I still have. So if I just said, oh, because I want to be a teacher, I could read online, I could do online courses. Well, if that's what you can afford, that's fine. But that social interaction is too important. In fact, my father told me that for no reason would I not live in the hotel as a university undergraduate. I'm like, why did you live in the hotel? He kept telling me, you're not going there for academic fellow, you're going there for interaction. Because in his own time, he was the all president. He went to UI, so he was the president of the all in the when UI was when they started UI, my dad is 70, so you can imagine how many years ago we went to. So it was like, no, that you need that. And so even when I got to school, my parents would say, how is your roommate? You must be tolerant of it. It's a lesson you must learn. So and people don't know that, having a roommate teaches you to be tolerant. Some people never had a roommate all their life until
Yes.
maybe they got married
Yes.
and they would not be so all of those things, they are life lessons. And I didn't know. I used to struggle with it, but when I now got older, and then maybe somebody when I went for NYS and everywhere people are like, oh, how are you able to cope? I'm like, I'm used to it. I always used to have people in my room when I was an undergraduate, so it kind of helped me. So so you can imagine if I was learning online, there is no how I would have learned when I'm at the end of that, but the interaction skills I would have failed at it. So that's what school does. It combines every other thing.
I think that's like one of the best answers I've heard on the school is a scam thing. Honestly, the fact that it just shifts the focus from this, oh, school has to be formal. It has to be, I'm learning math, I'm learning English, I'm learning physics. And it's moved on to things like I'm learning values, I'm learning tolerance, I'm learning empathy, I'm learning accommodation, how to be nice, how to share. I mean, just simple values, how to love. I mean, the exchange program we talked about, where people from your school or kids from the school there will go to a not so in quotes affordable school, not a nice school, or not in a nice area, and they have that exchange so that yes, they can understand that the fact that you have it today, it's a privilege. Some people don't have it, and you need to be thankful and grateful. I think that's a very, very good one to do, so that, because I mean, the other day I was just thinking of there was this topic I'm still going to talk about, it is how to raise children in comfort, because that's another thing, how to raise children when everything is at their beck and call. They have the drivers, they have the maids, everything. So how do you still actually raise children when everything is there and you still need them to be disciplined? Before I go to the last question, this one wasn't part of what was supposed to ask, but I wanted to ask about the effects. Let's just touch a bit on screen time for kids and how it's really affecting the education sector. What do you think? What are you seeing in schools now concerning screens and all of that? The attention span, their focus, and all of that.
Try as much as possible. It's just wait for 5 or 10 minutes, like before the class. Or for instance, I want to teach a topic and then I'm giving you a VR gadget to look at. I want to teach force, for instance, and then I give you a VR gadget and then you look at somebody kicking a ball, somebody pushing a car, and that's like my intro to the lesson. And then I take the VR gadget from you after like maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and then we now have the conversation. The conversations are richer, right? But then the conversations are richer when we do that, whether before or after the class, depending on how you structure your activity. So it's obvious that the children like the screen. But then in the class, we also kind of do a bit of projecting of our notes so that they can, as our notes are, okay, let me say, well, okay, from my perspective, my notes are actually in slides, colorful slides, right? So that, you project the notes and then they get to write and all of that. But when it now comes to screen time at home, what I've realized is that, especially parents integrating with teachers, most of them do not allow screen times during the week. They only allow screen time during the weekend, right? So that the children can either, so even if we drop stuff online, so we also drop notes online. For instance, we'd have like a Google Classroom where you could pick up your own work or pick up a video to reinforce learning and all of that. So you can always go to Google Classroom during the weekend to do all of that.
Oh, that's so good. I think that really makes sense. And I know some countries have also literally
basically.
Because the truth is we can't do away with tech. It's their life right now.
Absolutely.
We can't shy away and say, we can't do without it. It's just that consumption that has to be regulated and limited, not a child just endlessly staying in front of the screen and just sitting down, not using their brains and all of that. Let them play as much as possible or to explore. So that's a good one coming from there. In terms of, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. In terms of the I think just the last question, just before you go for your class, just the last question I think I have is, if you are the Minister of Education, let's say, for example, now, because I mean, you're in Nigeria, or obviously that's where I'm from also. If you are the education minister, what are the initial first steps you would take in schools, especially public schools, to make sure that they are up to standard? What's that one thing you will change or add or remove or include?
One is allocation of funds. So what you see, if you see maybe the yearly allocation of funds, just go and look at the percentage given to education. So maybe advocate for allocations of more funds and then train their teachers. Because you can't give what you don't have. So some people have been set up for 20 years and they just do the same thing. They are using the same notes they did 20 years ago. No innovation, nothing. So just go there, pick their teachers and train their teachers. Now, when you train the teachers, when people are trained, they will now say, oh, this is what we need to foster the training. This is what we need to be able to pass the information that we've gotten across to the children and all of that. So, but the first thing I would get more funds into the sector, The second thing I will train the teachers. Third thing I will do is look at the curriculum, because some of these curriculums we are using, it or scheme, it's been there for quite a while. Some is overload of information. Some is not appropriately stated. So all of that, we shuffle them, and then we'll move on there.
That's a good one. I think you are really so spot on. The main thing or problem we've seen in Nigeria is the fact that funding, I mean, as you said, and then the curriculum is so outdated. Unfortunately, you'll be lucky to find someone who is in a public school who knows something about what is happening today, or even probably even knows Elon Musk. It might not even know. If there's no internet, it might not know who Elon Musk is, right? It's so outdated. We're still teaching things that are outdated. And as you said, education is progressive. It doesn't say what we'll be teaching now might not be the same thing we'll be teaching in the next 15, 20 years. It will probably have changed again, and we have to relearn, we have to unlearn, and we have to just really readapt ourselves in this sector. Wow, this was such an enriching conversation. Very, very enriching conversation. Thank you so much, Mrs. Adeosun, for your thoughts, for your time. I hope you can hear me. You're a bit frozen, but I hope you can hear me. Really appreciate your time and everything. If there's anything that I've taken out today, is your explanation of the fact that school is not a scam. It's definitely not is, and that learning is not just in the classroom. It happens. Learning is lifelong. If I should sum it up that way, it will always happen. It will always keep going on, and it will continue to evolve. Thank you for your time. God bless you. As I said, the teacher's reward is not only in heaven. They have it here on earth too, and I pray that God himself will reward you. He will send people to help you. And I don't know if you are thinking about in this line, but it just came to my mind now. Are you thinking of writing a book or anything of some sort in the future? Maybe not now, but maybe in the future. I can hear you now.
I thought about it. He has the time
Yes.
to, but I was going to put my all into it and write it within 2 or 3 months, but then life happened. So I had to slow down some things, but I trust that definitely I should have more time in my hand pretty soon to be able to see and put some things together before the end of this year, hopefully. God helping us. God helping.
Wow, amazing. So we look forward to books, not just even a book, several books from you, because we need people like you who know what they're talking about. Godly education is, because that's one of the mountains of influence. Education is it plays such a huge role. I mean, the kids are in school 6 hours, 7, 8 hours a day, and that's a huge chunk of time. That's like literally 1/3 of their life in the life of the teacher. So we need more people like you, more passionate people who don't do this for the money, but for the fact that they know that they're shaping lives. I mean, lives are being transformed. So I pray that God will help you, give you the wisdom, everything that you need to keep on going for the next 10, 20, and then you enter the legacy phase where you have impacted so many people and they are carrying out the work for you.
Amen, amen, amen. But I also would like to say on this note that there are also some very lovely, amazing parents that I've met in my journey that has made this journey worthwhile. There are some parents that will never look down at you. There are some parents that will always, like when you talk to them, they will take your feedback as if a doctor is talking to them.
Amazing.
Right, and repute. And when they begin to see changes, they will keep praising you. Yeah, and then there are some parents that, and this also to encourage teachers out there, there are some parents that will never say anything, but somewhere in their mind, they just deeply, deeply appreciate you, but they will never talk. Like, for instance, my husband went somewhere and someone just kept staring at him, and the person had to come and meet him like, "I'm sorry to stop, but are you Miss Adeosun's husband?" Yes. It's like, "Oh my God, your daughter has taught my 2 children." And she just went,
out and out and out, and she just kept talking and talking and talking. And she just kept talking and talking and talking. And then, at the very end, by the time I gave that feedback, she's just one of these parents that doesn't really talk. Right. So we should just keep doing what we're doing. And then I feel like if you're doing what you love, because I do love what I'm doing, you will do whether you are being paid for it or not. And then you get better at it, and then you will really get the reward for doing it. And that's great.
So parents, you've collected your own buzzwords now. When you see that a teacher is doing something and you are noticing positive changes in your child, please give feedback. They don't let them wait for them to. Sometimes that's all a teacher needs to hear, that what you're doing is making an impact on my child. That is all they need to hear sometimes. It's not the hamper or the money that they want, even though that is good. But sometimes that word of encouragement to say you're doing the right thing, you didn't choose wrong, you are in the right profession or whatever it is. So please, parents, make sure you give feedback to your teachers, especially, and your teachers and the teachers are not, you both are on the same team. They don't want bad things for your child. So let's work with your teacher as an ally, not someone who is trying to make you feel bad or make you say you're not doing the right thing. Yes, I think that's where we draw the line or the curtain today on the education series. Thank you so much again, Mrs. Adeosun, for your conversation. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys on episode 3. Bye.
Bye-bye. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you too. Bye.